Hello, my name is Sharana McKnight, and I'm doing my presentation on the misdiagnosis of African American males. I decided to do this research because I have family members who have been through this, and I've seen the result of them being on heavy medication, and I know how expensive that path can be. Um, One of the main people that have been around is my cousin. He had been diagnosed with ADHD, and as a result of that, he got taken out of his regular classes and got put in special education classes. Because of this, he had self-esteem issues because everybody kept on picking on him, saying he's slow or stupid. And when he do have good grades, they said the only reason why he gets good grades is because he doesn't do no work, or the work he's doing is just drawing, and it's just easy for him to do. The way that he acted on the medication was not a good result either. He used to be an outgoing person, he used to be a funny person, but while on the medication, he shut down, he was quiet, he was always to himself, and he was just not acting like a child supposed to act. In my presentation, I put out a lot of facts and a lot of good research, and I hope you like the presentation. My first slide, I talk about African Americans. They constitute 16% of the U.S. population. This topic is important to me because we, as parents or guardians of these children, need to understand that although our children have been diagnosed with a disorder, it does not mean it's accurate. My hypothesis is that African American males are overrepresented in special education due to mixed diagnosis. You may not know ADHD is a chronic condition including attention difficulty, hyperactivity, and impulsiveness. ADHD often begins in childhood and can persist into adulthood. It may contribute to low self-esteem, troubled relationship, and difficulty at schoolwork. As you can see, 60% of children who has ADHD are from families who are living in poverty, and 10% comes from middle class and upper class. Seeing this type of statistic, it just makes me really think that I really don't think that all kids have ADHD. I just feel like they have underlying issues and they're just acting out. And I feel like we can disperse these underlying issues by counseling or therapy instead of just putting them on heavy medication, which can change them. In my next slide, I talk about the purpose of the study. My purpose is to learn about African American children, their influences, reactions, social and family life, and their experiences. The focus will be on young African American males in public schools who may have been diagnosed, and others that are not diagnosed. I wanted to do African American males is because they are the main or the targeted population that gets diagnosed and gets robbed of their education because they think they have some type of disability. I just feel like African Americans as a whole go through a lot of situations in life, and I feel like children, since they're so young, they don't know how to handle all of the pressure, if it is poverty or if it is being in a single home, or if they're going through any type of situation. I just feel like counseling or therapy should be the best answer, and I'm going in my research, especially in my paper, I went into depth of how that is. In this slide, I talk about education. Children who are singled out and placed in special education are lack of a better phase, being robbed of their quality education. They are put in classrooms, and yes, they do learn, but the educator's main focus is their behavior or whatever disability they have been labeled with. The consequences of special education disproportionality are profound. Despite possible good intentions, children in special education are most often regulated to learning environments with less academic rigor, as the focus is often on the management of emotional and behavioral issues, learning disabilities, and other impairments, rather than on academic excellence, capacity development, or preparing students to participate in the global marketplace. Special education classes tend to be in the most restrictive environments, which retard academic achievements, stigmatizes students, and limits their access to services. I feel like this is true because if you look up on YouTube how a special education class is ran, they are really not focusing on, like if they're in high school and middle school, they're not really focused on math, they're not really focused on reading, they're really focused on their behavior issues and how they can change themselves to be, I guess, like a regular person of society, as people want them to portray themselves as. And I feel like that puts them more and more behind in their education. So if you put somebody on medication and they're in a special education class and all it's doing is shutting the person or the child down, how in the world are they supposed to get educated? They're still going to just be behind. They're not going to go nowhere in life. They're not going to learn any more things. I just feel like when educators, parents, the guardians put a child on medication, it is because they don't really want to find what the problem is, especially when it comes to a teacher, because a teacher feels like they're slowing down the class instead of just getting to the right down to the problem. Here are some statistics that I looked up. When I found this is what I did my research on, from children from 6 to 13, because that's was one of the higher percentages of ADHD disorders, and it's also common in males than it is in females. I feel like another reason why, as I stated in my paper, that males are just diagnosed with this disorder, because they always they hold themselves to another level. Instead of talking about the situation, they keep it in, and when they keep it in, that's when depression and anxiety, and that's just a lot of stuff coming on to them at one time. And then when they react to it, and it might be one big reaction or many reactions, that's when it becomes a problem. And yeah, that's what I found in that research. And the alternatives that I found is psychoeducation and also therapies like support groups. When I looked at the statistics, support groups and counseling are what are the best ways to help with ADHD. They are in a private room and they just start talking about the situations. And I have seen in multiple videos that if the parents come into their little session, they learn something new about their children that they didn't even know before, because they didn't ask, and the child just don't know how to say how they're feeling or how to act on how they're feeling. This is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.